You know what? I think Charizard is a dragon.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. Yeah. Nice try. I'm repping Pokemon fans through justice for Charizard.
Yeah.
He's a dragon. Welcome to another edition of Popcorn Bucket List, and today we're going to go a little bit more medieval on people's butts here to semi-quote Pulp Fiction.
I like it.
Yeah, it's going to be Dragon Talk here today because we got ourselves another live-action remake, and I'm just going to say this all the way right here up front. I'm so glad this is the last one we're going to have to talk about this year.
Yeah, I think this is it.
So done talking about these right now.
But the problem is this movie's going to dominate, and it's just gonna, that's what we're just, the live action remake machine had slowed down, and I think Lilo and Stitch did great, and this one's gonna do great, and it's gonna, just kidding, we're gonna keep doing it.
I didn't plan on talking about this, but do you think the success of Lilo and Stitch, considering how late into the weeks that it went that I thought it was going to, do you think that siphoned a little bit from How to Train Your Dragon?
No.
You don't think so?
Nope.
You still think it's gonna be a powerhouse?
Mm-hmm.
I still think Lilo and Stitch is going to make more in the long run.
It might, yeah.
But
anyways. Here, how about you take Lilo and Stitch? I'll take the dragon.
Okay, what are we betting?
Burger King How to Train Your Dragon meal.
Okay, but is it still going to be around in 3 weeks?
Okay, how about a meal from one of our food places of choice?
All right, yeah, sure. I'll take you up on that. Sure. All right, there we go.
It's happening. You guys heard it here. Should we make some parameters, like by the end of the year, who's made the most, or do we wait like another 2 months or another month?
I feel like you have to compare it. Well, okay, so Lilo and Stitch had 3 weeks run. Do you want to just compare it to How to Train Your Dragon's 3 weeks run?
Yeah, let's do that.
Just keep it an even 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. You heard it here. Write that down, Carter. Remind me to check in on that in a couple
Carter,
weeks.
write that down.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Already off topic here, but also still kind of on topic. That's how we do it here.
That's it.
That's how we do it. But yeah, like I said, this weekend is the premiere of the live action remake, How to Train Your Dragon. So for today's opening spotlight, we're going to talk about some of the best dragons in all of media. I kind of wanted to base this discussion based on that dragon meme where it's the 3-headed dragon. 2 are serious and one's kind of funny looking,
silly, goofy.
You know, we try to shake things up every once. So I didn't want to just do a regular top 3.
Yeah,
so this is going to be our way of doing it here. Kind of separates it a little bit. So basically, here's how we're going to break it down. As many of you have probably seen the meme, it's kind of 2 serious ones and then a silly dragon. So one of the dragons we're going to talk about here is the one we think would be the funniest or fun companion, one that we want to hang out with, that we think we could have a grand old time. And then I like to think that little dragon on the side there, you know, he's kind of the middle child. He's not as focused on as much. Everyone's looking at the leader and everyone's looking at the silly one. Let's talk about the underrated guy here. What is the most underrated dragon? What is a dragon in TV and movies that we don't think gets talked about enough? And then the top one, the top dog, or top dragon in this case, basically just our number one of all time.
Yep. And
how we want to define that. I kind of left it up to our own interpretation here. So you might interpret it different than I will. I'm curious to see what we come up with that one there. So, yeah, let's just get into it here. Let's start by talking about the funniest one. This isn't the bravest, necessarily the strongest, but the one that we want by our side because we think it'd be fun. So why don't you kick us off here, Mr. Game of Thrones? What is your dragon funny companion?
Well, I have 2, but I don't want to take yours. Does yours start with an M?
No.
Okay, then I'll do that. I'm going with Mushu from, Mulan. The original Mulan, not the live action one.
Was Mushu even in the
Mushu
live action?
Wasn't even in.
I was going to say, I don't think he was.
I think they referenced it in like a painting or artwork or something, but that was about it. And it was like you saw it. They didn't even say it, but it was just...
There's just an Easter egg in the background.
Yep. Because I believe that's Eddie Murphy, isn't it?
Yep.
And he's hilarious. He's funny. He can still breathe fire. Sometimes it's not when he's wanting to, it's when he gets forced to. And he's really just trying to join the rest of the ancestors, you know? He's a funny guy. Hanging out with Eddie Murphy for a day, I would do it. I'd love to.
That's definitely not a bad pick.
No.
The one I am going to go with here, again, I guess I should argue this one isn't necessarily the funniest, but I do think is the one that would be the most fun to hang out with. Elliot from Pete's Dragon, and I am going to be essentially focusing on the live-action remake here. As much as I'm going to crap on live-action remakes here later on this episode, stay tuned for that. Yep. This is one of the only live-action remakes I not only tolerated but enjoyed. Was Pete's Dragon. And Elliot in particular is really fun because it is a very big, like, behemoth dragon, so you kind of would be scared of it, but it's just a gentle softie. Mm-hmm. And not only that, it's got the powers of invisibility, man. The game of hide and seek you can play, you could just do for days.
That's pretty cool.
And the one thing I'll give it that I think has the leg up on Mushu is because it's big, you can kind of ride it still, you can fly.
Yeah.
And it's so big, many of your friends could do it too. Mm-hmm. You don't have to deal with traffic anymore. Your commute just you're just going straight there. Heating bills taken care of because I'm pretty sure he breathes fire. Mm-hmm. Maybe he doesn't in the movie, but I think he can still do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to fact check
It's a prerequisite for being a dragon.
Yeah. You just kind of assume, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to use that, I guess, as a point. But basically, I don't know. He's just a fun, loving dragon, you know. And he hangs out with that kid, and, you know, they just have a grand old time.
Yep. My second choice for fun dragon was Puff the Magic Dragon. Because there is a movie, I think it's called Puff the Magic Dragon.
Yeah.
He seems kind of weird, but one of those guys, I'd hang out with him.
I almost wanted to go with Piff the Magic Dragon from America's Got Talent. There was like a magician guy who dressed up as dragon. He was actually like really funny.
Yeah.
But he was an okay magician, but he was more in like the comedy and kind of dry humor. Yeah. I think I had some relatives who actually saw him live and said he was actually pretty good with his show. So I almost did that as like a deep cut reference too. So
funny.
Well, let's just say we'd have a pretty good entourage with us for the dragon having fun. Yeah. But let's go on to underrated here, the ones that we don't think people talk about enough. What's your most underrated drag?
So for my pick, I'm going with Maleficent, or the Evil Queen, or the Bad Lady from Sleeping Beauty. Now, I'm talking the original Disney animated version. I hadn't seen the original Sleeping Beauty like throughout for a long time, and my daughter really enjoyed it, so we started watching it recently, and the dragon is so cool. The way they do that, the green fire, it's purple and black. It's just a awesome dragon. I've even like thought about getting the idea of putting that on my moped on the front because it's a purple and black dragon and it breathes green fire. I think a cool sticker of that, if I could find a cool one, would be pretty cool on the front of the moped. On my Dragon Slayer.
Yeah. You don't tell me you call it the Dragon Slayer now.
I call it the Hog.
No. Oh my God. It's anything but. Correct me. I guess I'm trying to remember. Does she turn into a dragon in those live action remakes again?
I don't know if
I know she has wings at a certain point, but I do feel like that's another one where she is kind of underrated as well, because they kind of do that whole character turn of like, well, this is kind of a new version, a little bit misunderstood and sort of thing like that. But yeah, I would say as far as the dragon goes, we don't talk about the Maleficent one too much.
No, and that dragon's so cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. The music's great. Everything about it's just great.
Yeah. So my most underrated could arguably be a controversial one, and I feel like we actually did kind of talk about this last week when we were prepping for this, and could be argued as a technicality. I'm going to go with Charizard from Pokemon. Yes, I know he's not technically a dragon type.
Not a dragon type.
He is a dragon, though. He is exactly picturesque of a dragon with his snout. He breathes fire. He's got the wings. He's reptilian. He is a dragon-looking non-dragon type. But I will also argue, okay, I know you're going to start looking up some sort of technicalities here or whatever. When he goes to when he like ultra evolves or whatever, he's a dragon type. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Ultra X. It's either Ultra X or Ultra Y, but one of those two. He does evolve into Dragon type, so I'm going to count that. All right. But he is one of the first Pokemon we fell in love with, regardless if you played the games or watched the TV show. He's one of the best companions that Ash ever had, one of the most powerful Pokemon in that series, and he is picturesque dragon. I don't know why they didn't give him Dragon type. It's stupid.
Well, did they even have Dragon type in the first?
They would have, because there was Dragonite.
He was part of the 151?
Yeah, he was part of the original 151.
Oh, okay.
But so like Dragonite, Dragonair, like that evolution, that was like the only dragon, though, I think, in Gen 1. Yeah. So the Dragon type was there.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they didn't give it to Charizard. Okay.
Buzz!
We're just going to leave Buzz because he's fallen down twice now.
He disagrees with your opinion, so he said, I'm sitting this one out. But don't get me wrong, you make up great points, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, Charizard's not a dragon.
Okay, I could argue Maleficent's actually a human who turns into a dragon. Charizard is a dragon that doesn't have dragon typing, but you could argue he then turns into a dragon with the Ultra Evolution. Or Mega Evolution, whatever.
You know what? I think Charizard is a dragon.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. Yeah. Nice try. I'm repping Pokemon fans who justice for Charizard.
Yeah.
He's a dragon. All right, yeah. All right, rant over on that one there. Sorry, I had to get that out there. That's half the reason why I wanted to do this discussion.
Just talk about that.
Justice for Charizard. All right, let's move on to the number one of all time, the GOAT of dragons, if you will. This one I'm curious to see. I could see you going many different ways here because I've noticed you have not talked about Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings yet. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So let us know. What's your number one?
So I brought it down to two that I think are awesome. And when I took it as in real life, medieval battle dragons, that's how I took it. First, my mind obviously went to Smog because I also thought of the funny, goofy one because he can talk and he tells jokes. He tells myths and like riddles, and I love all that. That's all super awesome. But I would have to go with Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and go with Vhagar. Vhagar is the biggest, arguably one of the biggest, baddest, strongest dragons that's ever been around in Game of Thrones. He was a part of when Aegon first conquered Westeros, and then years later, families go and kings and queens. That dragon's brothers and sisters died. The Riders have all died. The Targaryens have died. He's still around. Not all the Targaryens, but he's still around. He's the last one left of the conqueror, and it's just, yeah, it's a massive beast of a dragon, and I just love it.
Yeah, I knew eventually you would go to Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings here. I'm surprised about your restraint.
And to be honest, you know what? I will fight with anybody. I will argue with anybody. I did not mind the ending of Game of Thrones. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was trash. That
might be more controversial than me saying Charizard is a dragon type.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were looking too much. I don't know. I might have to save this for another time, but I think if you go. Yeah. Game of Thrones ending wasn't that bad. I really liked it. It ended the way it should have ended.
When do you think those books are going to finally come out?
Actually, I heard. Can I tell you this real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Like, I did hear a rumor today that the Winds of Winter was actually done by the time, and it was to his editor by the time Game of Thrones, the last season, had come out, and people were so upset about the way it ended, and so he was like, crap, do I need to like change this, or do I need to write something better, or do I just not finish it? Because people are so... Because then there are some other things like he stopped writing episodes for Game of Thrones after a certain point, and that's when Dan and Dave learned the end of the book, and then they stopped working. So there's a lot, and I used to kind of be on the same thing, like George R. R. Martin, get these books done, you need to finish them, I want to read them. But after reading some of this stuff and his talking, it's like, I'm actually kind of with George on this. Like, if that's how it's gonna be, and yeah, I'm kind of with George on it. So, yeah, fight me. Game of Thrones wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty good.
All right, my number one dragon of all time. I'm going with Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. The thing that I think probably impressed me most about Toothless is, all right, let's say, not that we're necessarily going to put these two in a fight, but let's say we kind of put it in sort of a battle royale or bracket kind of thing here. I think the advantage of Toothless is the speed. He's a little bit smaller than most of the dragons, but he's a lot more quicker than most of the dragons. So it doesn't matter how powerful you are. I guess I've always kind of been, there's that whole Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, who would win in a fight thing. I've always leaned towards Ali because of the speed. He had the speed. Yeah, Tyson had the strength. But if you can't land the punch, the strength means nothing. And Toothless does have a pretty powerful little firepower with him. And it is very effective. So I think the speed and the firepower really, truly makes him one of the most powerful dragons out there. And if you kind of watch that original movie, when he's kind of going through the book, it's like, okay, we know all this information about these ones. They like knew nothing about his species. Toothless was, Night Flyer, because, well, no one had lived to tell the tale. It was like, Night Flyer, Night Fire, Night Screecher, I don't know, Night something, scary something, I don't know, but that's my number one. That's the one I think would win in any sort of fight. But again, we had our own different interpretations. How would you interpret it? What is your favorite dragon in movies and TV of all time? Let us know in the comments down below, and let us know what your 3 would be, essentially. Who would make up your dragon meme? Best dragons.
I thought about going Will to be the big one from How to Train Your Dragon, the bad one.
Yeah.
I like that one too.
But he does go out in his first battle, so I don't know if you can really.
I don't know if that was his first battle.
Well, okay, fair enough.
He'd been probably consuming worlds for so long, and then he finally got tricked by that guy.
Hey, we talk a lot about movies on this channel, but sometimes the ones we talk about aren't the most accessible. That's where the Marshall-Lyon County Library comes in handy. They have a great collection of physical media, as well as a couple of online services with many, many options for movies, TV shows, and documentaries. It's easy. Just get your own library card at the Marshall-Lyon County Library and gain access to their large variety of movies, TV shows, and of course, books. Also, be sure to check back every month as we here at Popcorn Bucket List make specific movie recommendations based on a monthly theme. So head on over to the Marshall-Lyon County Library for some of our favorites and check out the channel to get even more movie recommendations. And now, on with the show! But let's move on then to the weekly preview here. We'll talk a little bit more about dragons in just a little bit, but first, Thursday, June 12th, coming straight to Prime Video, Deep Cover. This movie features 3 struggling actors who are recruited by law enforcement to go undercover. They use their improv skills to infiltrate the London criminal underworld.
London.
Yeah. Time to put that acting to the test.
Yep. Hello. Let's go get some crumpets.
See, if you were trying to infiltrate the underworld with your acting skills, they'd catch you in a heartbeat.
Yes, and?
Yeah. You wouldn't last very long.
Little spotted dick.
Oh, my God. Anyways, back to this movie here. This movie stars Bryce Dallas Howard, Orlando Bloom, and Nick Mohammed as 3 improv actors who were basically turned into undercover agents by Sean Bean.
Yeah.
So the real question is how Sean Bean going to die in this one?
Don't know, but it's Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. Boom.
And a little bit of, I guess, Ted
Jurassic
Lasso.
World.
I was going to say Ted Lasso.
Oh, yeah.
And Pirates of the Caribbean, because Orlando Bloom's in both, right?
Orlando.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of crossover jokes we can make throughout a lot of these movies here. Just, you think these were cheesy. Buckle your seatbelts, folks. I don't know. It looked like this movie did have a few funny moments. I don't know. Has Orlando Bloom really done comedy before? I couldn't think of any. I mean, he's had comedic moments in Pirates, but as like a full-on, I mean, I guess Pinocchio was just a joke in general, but he only had like one scene in that. But
yeah,
I don't know. I guess I'm more curious to see how he does in this.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting.
But the big ticket item here this weekend, Friday, June 13th, the live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon, coming straight to theaters. The story is set around a young Viking who, instead of wanting to kill dragons, finds he can connect and train them. I mean, yeah, you kind of know the story here. Again, this is a live-action remake. The original animated movie came out about 15... What was that? What it was?
Night Fury.
Night Fury?
Yep.
See, we were close.
We were close.
We had the night and the eerie.
Yep.
Oh, we couldn't come up with Fury.
It popped in my head, and I just had to say it before we...
Thank you, because that would probably have actually bothered me for a little while there.
Night Fury.
That's a better name than what we were coming up with. That works a lot better. But yeah, Night Fury and his movie came out 15 years ago and spawned 2 other sequels. As if to really kind of try and recapture the original magic. The original trilogy was directed by Dean DeBlow, and he is now returned to direct this one as well. But he's not the only one who's returning. Gerald Butler, who voiced the father character in the animated movies, is coming back in the live-action remake here as well.
That'll be sweet.
I very recently saw the original. So going into this one, watching the trailer, I can confirm already this looks very, very shot for shot.
Yeah.
At least with Lilo and Stitch, they look like there was a few attempts to kind of try at least a different setting or a different look. This was pretty shot for shot. And look, I'm going to get on. Okay, let's get on that soapbox for live action remake just one more time here. Look, the problem I have with live action remakes is you are put into a corner. Either A, you change a whole bunch of stuff, which usually if you're remaking these movies that are good, you shouldn't rechange them in the first place. Or B, you're just doing the same thing over again, in which case, why should I waste the time going to the theaters, spending the money, sitting down, watching that, when I could just rewatch the original or just re-release the original? And why are you making all these people go to work on this movie all over again when they could just make another movie? I'm not trying to shut down jobs here. I'm just saying I wish they were working on a different thing. I'm like the guy who chains myself to a tree to stop deforestation, but I don't want the deforesters to get out of work. I just want them to do something else than deforest this forest here. That's what I'm trying to do. That's the waste of time for me. It's a waste of time for me as the audience, and I feel like it's a waste of time for all these creative people. If I was the director, why would I want to do this again? I'd want to do a different story.
I'll tell you. Actually, I'll let Mr. Krabs tell you. Money.
I guess. Yeah, whatever. Economy's tough.
I think you have a better opportunity to get more money. At least this is what Hollywood's thinking was. We have a better opportunity to get more money if we do a remake of it, a live-action remake, than if we come out with a How to Train Your Dragon 3, 4?
It'd be 4.
4, yeah.
I get that. I understand that. I really do understand that. That doesn't mean I have to be happy about it.
It's true. It's true.
I don't know. Okay, so, I mean, for the most part, it looks shot for shot. Although I will say, if you look at the run times, this one is going to be about 20 to 30 minutes longer. So this now also makes me a little bit worried. Because in almost every one of these remakes, when they've added something, more often than not, it's always been like,
fluff.
Well, that doesn't, it's either fluff or it contradicts something or it just doesn't fit. It doesn't work. And now we're going to for sure have about 20 to 30 minutes more of it.
Yeah. Well, I think if you add an extra minute and a half to every scene, there you go. That extra 60 seconds is what it takes an actual person.
That's still 20 to 30 minutes I'm not going to get back in my life, man.
Yeah. See, I think you're gonna. I think you might get blown away by this. Do you remember how much of a cultural revolution almost this was when it came out?
I do. But again, to my original point, for me personally,
for you
to be blown away, it's going to have to take these characters and do something almost entirely different with the story.
Yep.
So you're going to have to hope that these people struck lightning or caught lightning in a bottle twice. And I don't know if you know this, but catching lightning in a bottle is kind of hard.
But do you think most people say, oh, How to Train Your Dragon 2 live action? That's cool. That's what they're going to say. Most people. Most people aren't going to think, I've watched this before. I need to either, I think not watching it and choosing to watch the old one or something like, I don't think people are going to do that. They're going to say, oh, they made this into a real movie? Let's go watch it. That's what they're gonna say.
That opens up a whole other problem of animated movies are for kids. Like, no, they're not.
That's
I agree with you. I think we're both on the same page here, but that doesn't mean I have to be happy about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, I will. Okay, my last point, I guess, here is if there was one change I wish this movie would make, because this is the only gripe I have with the original movie, is that I think they came up with the perfect names for the characters, but they gave the names to the wrong characters. So for the longest time, I'll admit, I did not see How to Train Your Dragon for the longest time. It's not like I was avoiding it. I just didn't get around to watching it.
Yep.
And so for the longest time, I heard Toothless and Hiccup. I was assumed the dragon was named Hiccup and the boy was named Toothless. Because when I first saw any clip, when he shoots the fire, it kind of looks like he's doing a hiccup. The dragon is. And I just thought Toothless was a good name for the boy because it's he's got no bite. He's got no ferocity. I always thought that was a Viking name for him, being he's toothless because he doesn't have that ferocity in him. So for the longest time, I thought they were the opposite. Yeah. And be honest, the names make a little bit more sense flipped around, don't they?
Well, when you explain it like that, I didn't even think about it like that, but that does make a lot of sense.
Toothless makes a much better name for that kid than Hiccup. That's all I'm going to say. Because you could argue, he's named Toothless because he retracts his teeth. He only does that one time in the movie and it never comes up again or is relevant. You could just not have him do that.
Yeah.
And just have him shoot fireballs and kind of look like he's hicking up.
Fireball.
Yeah.
Fireball.
I'm just saying, if the live action was going to make any change, could have at least
changed the main characters' names.
You made the perfect character names, but you gave them to the wrong one. That's what I'm saying. Just flip them, and you got it.
That's funny.
Just saying. Anyway,
just an idea. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, the movie's coming out this Friday, but you guys can make that flip, right? If we could get the buttholes removed in cats in a week, we could do this, right?
That's really funny.
All right. That's going to be our short footage for next week, by the way, for sure. Anything else you want to say about this one? I know you've been really hyping this one up, really excited for it.
I'm excited. I think between Stitch and this one, probably the best. Excuse me. I never really got into the hype of How to Train Your Dragon, but I know it was real. I know it was there.
Also coming out. Oh, well.
That's about it.
Okay. Also coming out this weekend, Life of Chuck. Well, I should say technically it came out last weekend, but I noticed it wasn't coming to any theaters around here till this week, so I thought we'd wait to talk about it here.
Yeah.
But, this one is coming to theaters, like I said, starring Tom Hiddleston as a man known as Chuck, and this movie shows the life of him.
Yeah.
That's about all I got. That's about all I got,
no
folks.
idea what is going on in the trailer.
I know we say that every once in a while, but sometimes it's the trailers are so confusing we don't know what's going on. Here I felt like it was a really good keeping it ambiguous, but I think kind of putting it in a way that intrigues you as an audience member. Sometimes you're well, this is clearly too hard to follow. I'm not even going to try and watch this and try and figure it out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's enough mystery where it's I kind of want to see where they're going with this. At least that's what I thought watching this one here. But
I thought visually it looks really nice when they were talking about the night sky.
Yeah.
And it's got Mark Hamill in it, so let's go.
Oh, yeah. Joker is apparently Loki's grandfather in this.
Let's go.
Yeah. Talk about, speaking of Loki, since we're just going to jump into that joke here. Number of Marvel actors in this one, I counted 4, and I feel like I missed some.
I'm sure there's probably some.
Because, you got Tom Hiddleston, Loki.
Yep.
You got Chiwetel Ejiofor. Yep. He's
Doctor Strange guy.
Yeah, he's in that and also the Venom movie.
Yep.
You got Karen Gillan. She's Nebula. Carl Lumbly, who played the old Cap in Captain America: Brave New World and Captain America: Winter Soldier. You said Mark Hamill, but that is he's a DC guy because Joker.
He's
So we got one representative for DC. So the count is 4 Marvel, 1 DC. And for good measure, I threw in Scooby-Doo actors. We got 1 for Matthew Lillard. So there's a lot of actors
and
in this
5 Nights at Freddy's actors.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. We got 1 for 5 Nights at Freddy's. Yeah. Oh, shoot. I'm going to have to go back and see if any of those guys are in 5 Nights at Freddy's. But, it's got a little bit of a musical vibe. It's got a little bit of a whimsical vibe. Plot twist. This is a Stephen King story.
Yeah.
Double plot twist. The guy who directed it usually does Stephen King's scary movies.
Yeah.
But he's taking a stab at one of his
non-scary movies.
Yeah, non-scary. There's not a single thing that's scary about this.
Yeah. Maybe that's the twist.
Yes, maybe that is. Maybe Chuck was never there to begin with.
Maybe Chuck's not there.
This is all a lie. The lie of Chuck.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I thought it looked pretty good. Tom Hiddleston looks like he's having fun, which is nice because he's had to play Loki, who's been kind of dour, evil.
Yeah.
Here he's literally dancing in the street. Like that's not even a metaphor. Also coming out this weekend, The Unholy Trinity. This one's rated R, a good old-fashioned Western movie.
Good old shoot 'em up.
Yeah, set in 1870s Montana. A man moves into the town that his criminal father used to run amok in.
Run amok.
Yeah, he was kind of the crime boss of the area. He was the no good doer, if you will.
No good doer.
The son, he's not trying to follow in his father's footsteps or whatever. He's just trying to kind of reclaim some of his past. The sheriff for the town, he tries to keep the peace. He's willing to give the boy a chance, but he's like, hey, just don't say your name out loud.
Yeah, don't tell anybody he's your dad.
Yeah, that'll not be good. And well, he's right. Yeah, pretty much all the town is after this kid because they think he knows where his father hid a bunch of gold. And looking at that trailer, from what they did show, that was quite a bit of gold back then.
Quite a bit of gold.
That would go a long way. This movie's got a pretty good cast as well. You got Pierce Brosnan as the sheriff and Samuel L. Jackson just having a blast as the bad guy.
Sammy boy. I think after doing Hateful Eight and Django, I think he was like, let me do some more Westerns.
Yeah.
Some Westerns.
Now, and I feel like Westerns are kind of coming back.
They are.
There's been a few more and everything like that. I'm curious. I wonder if part of the reason why they're coming back is kind of the same reason that we've been talking about horror movies have had such a good run here these past few years. I feel like they're cheaper to make.
They are cheaper to make.
You don't have to do as many special effects.
As long as you got a good armor.
I knew you were going to go there eventually. I just knew you were going to go there eventually. Yep. I was debating in my head, was he going to make a Rush joke first or the fact that Horizon was expensive as heck joke first? And yeah, I figured you were going to do Rush jokes.
Yep.
So,
well, it wasn't a joke. I was just stating a fact.
Yeah. We're not joking about that.
Yeah.
We're not joking about that.
Yeah.
Oh boy, am I going to cut that later or not? Because it is a valid point, but it's meant in somewhere dark. So we'll see how I feel tomorrow about that.
Is it about the journey?
What journey?
The journey.
There is no journey here.
Isn't there? Oh, maybe that's Katy Perry.
I don't even know, man. I don't even know.
Astronaut Katy Perry, excuse me.
It wasn't about that journey, I'll tell you that much. I don't even know where we're at on this one here. Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson looks like he's having a blast.
Yeah, I was going to say, it probably is cheaper to do costumes. A lot of these Old West sets are still set up everywhere. So, yep. I mean, and plus, it's not too hard to build some of these and everything.
Yep.
So.
And some of it, you can just play it. You can just go outside.
It's
not
Yeah, you just go out into the wilderness sometimes, too,
yeah.
even if you're not doing these, big towns or anything like that,
yep.
So I would not be surprised if we see more and more of these Westerns.
Yep.
And I'm cool with that. I kind of like the return of Westerns here, I think. But we got quite a few other things to talk about here, so let's keep things moving along here. Materialists, the other movie coming out this weekend. This one's also rated R. It is a romantic drama with a little bit of comedy, so a little bit of romantic comedy there, starring the likes of Madam Web, Mr. Fantastic, and Captain America, or Human Torch if you prefer that. But basically, what we're trying to say here is meet me on camera 2, because this one is MCU confirmed.
Yeah.
The only reason why I didn't do it in the other one is because you got Joker, so kind of threw it off there.
Yep.
But it's basically a love triangle between 3 Marvel characters here. But we got Dakota Johnson, you got Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans in this one here. Basically, Dakota Johnson's character is a popular matchmaker who ends up in her own sort of love triangle. Because
she knows a lot about dating, but she doesn't know about love, is the line. Yeah. This movie, I think I gagged a little bit when I was watching the trailer. It was like, oh, boy. But I think it will be strong with the females. I think women will really enjoy this movie.
And you know what?
And that's okay.
Pedro Pascal, he's been doing so many characters and had to do all this action. Let him just dress up in a suit and be a New York socialite.
Yeah, and I like Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
I like Miss Webb. I think she's funny. I think she's very funny. And I like Chris Evans.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah.
I like them all. I'm sure this movie, for the audience that they're after, I'm sure it'll be great. Not watching it. Not watching it.
All right, last but certainly not least here, coming to Apple TV Plus, Echo Valley. This one's also rated R. Produced by Ridley Scott, and tells the story of a mother who essentially tries to cover up a self-defense murder her daughter had done. Will they get away with it?
Supposedly.
Well, okay, so the reason why I say that is because it felt like towards the end there, it maybe seemed like the daughter wasn't telling the full story, was maybe holding something back or hiding something maybe. And I think that is going to be sort of the twist here, because it does feel like the trailer gave away quite a bit of it.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, let's be fair. It was a lot.
I'm super pumped for this. I think it's awesome.
It's weird because it did feel like it gave away a lot, but I was pretty intrigued as well.
Yep.
It's kind of the opposite of Life of Chuck. Life of Chuck gave you almost nothing, but you were intrigued.
Yeah.
This one almost gave it all, but you were still intrigued. I think it's more because of the powerhouse performances here. You have Julianne Moore and Sydney Sweeney as the mother-daughter combo here. I think they're both pretty good.
And who's the guy? I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Domhnall Gleeson. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But he's been in a few other things. I guess a question for you here, not in another edition of me trying to incriminate you. Would you cover up a murder for one of your kids?
Well, it depends.
And Carter, just to confirm, the lawyer is sitting upstairs with you right now before he answers this, right? Yep. Okay, thumbs up. Yep, continue.
Yep. If I were in Minecraft and something like this happened to my Minecraft family, bad things would happen in Minecraft. Well, I guess nothing bad happened to her. Well, not that we know of. But if my daughter was Sydney Sweeney, I don't know. That's a great question.
That's a yes. I feel like we can count that as a yes. So we're going to use that against you at some point. Put that, just save that in the blackmail folder up there, Carter, for me. Thanks. It is an interesting sort of moral dilemma there for sure. And I think that's another reason why this movie is a little bit more intriguing as well.
Yeah, so. And it's nice to see, especially Sydney Sweeney, the way she's been portrayed in the last couple of movies, and she came out and talked about some things in Hollywood. Actually seeing her with more, I would say, of a character and like a development and like acting, not necessarily other attributes.
I think people forget how good she was in Euphoria. And the performance.
I didn't watch Euphoria.
I know. I'm just saying. I think that's because that not a lot of people did, but she had a very good performance in it. Mm-hmm. And now people do just kind of associate her with some of the more recent movies, like you're kind of talking about. But yeah, she's a very good actress as well, and I'm glad to see that kind of come back as well. But with that, let's move on to some number one recommends. I believe it is your turn this week to go first. So why don't you let us know? What are you recommending this week?
I'm recommending Ballerina.
You can't just ever just say it. You always got to do like a 20-second thing. Okay.
It's cool. Wasn't that sweet? Felt like John Wick.
Not really. It was like cheap Power Rangers.
If you know what that was pretty cool. Awesome action. I think this film did a great job of what a lot of kind of side films have problems doing, where if they have a main character from another film series or franchise, they come in, do a little part, and get out and don't take away from the story. They did a really good job of that in Ballerina. And, good acting, cool visuals, fighting was great. Go check it out.
I was kind of surprised you didn't recommend a different movie here, so I'm going to end up recommending that one here, Dangerous Animals. I was very pleasantly surprised here. Overall, this past weekend was a good weekend for us because I'm going to say both of these movies, I believe, snuck into my top 5 so far this year.
Yeah, they're good.
Both of them were very good in what they were attempting to do. Dangerous Animals had a very interesting Jaws vibe, but focused more on the human monster aspect. And I would say that's probably one of the only knocks I have on Jaws is it's kind of like it just made sharks seem like these evil creatures that were bent on eating all of humanity. It's just an animal doing this animal thing. Yeah. And this movie kind of points that out. It's like, mosquitoes kill like a lot more people than sharks, but people are like afraid of sharks and all that. But Jai Courtney, he gives one of his best performances. There's some other characters in this movie that give some really, really good performances. I thought the story in general flowed really well. Overall, was pleasantly surprised by that one too. So yeah, overall a really good weekend, I'd say.
Same. It was really good.
But that's going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. Keep an eye out for some other fun projects of ours coming out later on this month, especially for all of you video game fans out there. I'm trying to think what would be an interesting clue to let people know what's coming up here.
I can tell you. Watch this. You ready?
You're just really going at it.
Did you see that? Did you get it? Could you tell what it was?
Yeah.
You can
but
tell.
I also know what the answer is. So
everybody that they're using their minds right now, they're thinking about it.
All right. Let us know if you think of what we're alluding to there, I suppose. But keep an eye out for that in a couple weeks here. And if you're looking for some other fun videos to check out here on YouTube, we got some suggestions for you in the description, including Minnesota Sports Live and The Blueprint and Taji, who we've had on the show here. He's starting to put some stuff back on his channel here.
Oh, yeah?
He's coming out of hiatus.
Let's
Smack
go.
Entertainment. So make sure you check him out. He's got some pretty cool stuff on there right now. So for myself, Ryan, and Carter, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.